What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of JoesTech. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Zowie XL2546, which is a 24.5 inch 1080p 240 Hz TN panel professional gamer's dream. One of the physical tools Zowie has implemented into the XL2546 is the ability to mark height, tilt, and swivel of the monitor, so you know if you were to take this monitor into a tournament setting, or if they were using these monitors in a tournament setting, you're going to get the exact calibrated positioning that you would have at home as you would in that tournament setting. Zowie has also included a shield for the XL2546, which are two winglets that attach to each side of the monitor by two captive held thumb screws. Keep in mind you won't have access to the headphone stand if you do have the shield installed. You'll find plenty of input support on the XL2546, including a single DVI connection, dual HDMI inputs, a single DisplayPort 1.2, along with a USB 3.0 output. The USB 3.0 output is to support the dual USB 3.0 connections on the side of the monitor, which are accompanied by headphone and mic connectivity. Adjustments on the XL2546 are pretty straightforward. Any of the buttons on the lower right of the monitor will bring up a short menu and allow for quick adjustments for picture mode, the DyAc, which we'll get to in a second, black equalizer, and at the end you'll find a more intuitive menu that has a little bit more functionality for adjusting colors, resolutions, things like that. Speaking of making menu adjustments, Zowie has included what they call the S switch, which is a little mini USB controller that plugs into the monitor, is driverless, and allows you to make those minor changes in the menu, and also allows you to store up to 3 different configurations. So let's say your main game is CSGO, but you want to have different color adjustments for when you play PUBG on the side. Now you can actually store those hotkeyed menu configurations, up to 3 of them, in this controller. Now the great part about this is if you were to have, let's say you have like a practice monitor at home, and then again maybe a tournament is going to be hosting these, using these monitors, you could take that controller with you and it'll work on other 2546 monitors and keep those configurations for you. So you now have the ability to adjust your monitor to exactly how it looks at home, visibly and physically, I guess you could say, right? There's a few things that really allow the 2546 to shine, and one of those things is DyAc, as I kind of mentioned earlier. DyAc was specifically designed by Zowie for CSGO players and spraying of the gun. What DyAc's main function is to provide extra visibility while you're firing the weapons. Now unfortunately it's a bit challenging to kind of show you guys this with the type of camera that I have and the recording equipment that I have, but one of the biggest examples I was able to see of this was using the Ufo Test. You guys, I'm sure, have seen this in other videos where the UFO scoots across the monitor, and you could test different refresh rates and things like that. Obviously at 240 Hz, it's pretty smooth as is. When you turn that dynamic accuracy on, though, it actually makes those, like the eyes and the other fine points in the UFO like crystal clear as it's moving across the screen. So that was a pretty impressive display. Now, I've been using this monitor to game quite a bit, and I have to say that turning the dynamic accuracy on, I'm sure it adds a benefit when you're playing at the top level. For me, I didn't see too much of a difference. I felt pretty good when I was playing with it on, I'll tell you that much, but I couldn't say like, hey, here's a scenario where every time I can see it, I can tell the difference. So that's my thoughts on that. One of the other big features is the black equalizer, and this pretty much allows you to, I guess you could say, brighten up or illuminate dark areas of a map where somebody may typically hide. You know, this one I probably would say is a little bit more noticeable when you have it turned off versus turning it on. It brings the brightness of the monitor up and allows you to see in those areas. And it takes a little bit of adjustment, you know, when you do turn it on or when you start using this type of monitor, but once you start using it, you don't even really notice that it's there, and I think that does add a little bit more of a benefit. So we've talked about DyAc, we've talked about the black equalizer. The final thing I want to talk about is the amount of quality of color that you get out of this monitor. The first thing that comes to mind for me, it's not, and this isn't even an on-off option, it's just adjustability in the monitor itself. But the first thing that always comes to mind is, yeah, I know a lot of you guys do play PUBG, and there's the app, the Reshade app, which pretty much kind of does what this monitor is able to do at the hardware level, and that's just giving you these really, really bright, vibrant colors, and it kind of allows you to see a little bit better when you're in those maps, and that's, you know, for any game really. It's a little bit of an adjustment on the eyes when you know, first launch into a game, but it doesn't take very long to kind of get adjusted to those colors, and it just allows you to see a lot clearer than you would on a typical like productivity monitor. So that's one thing that I really enjoyed about with the XL2546. If you guys are looking into the XL2546 specifically, I'll go ahead and leave links to everything in the description below. If you guys aren't really sure if this is the right monitor for you, obviously that's a decision that you have to make, but what I will say is after using this monitor for the past few months, I've used it for various different tasks. Obviously I do a lot of work out of my office here, but you know, that's not really what it's good for. In fact, it's a little difficult to use as a productivity monitor, but if you're just solely looking for a gaming monitor, 1080p with 240 Hz refresh rate, I would say this is a great go-to monitor. I think the DyAc and the black equalizer, although they aren't necessary, once you get to using them and you have them, you know, built into your gaming monitor that you're going to be using every day, it's going to be hard to kind of get away from those, especially when you have a display like this that provides such a vibrant color, you know, when you're getting into different types of games. And I think that for the professionals out there, obviously you know more about professional gaming than I do, but I would say that this has a lot of the great functionality that's just going to make your job easier, especially if you travel or, you know, if you're going to be using this monitor in a tournament setting in the future. That being said, big thanks to Zowie and BenQ for sending me this monitor to review. They gave me a ton of time to test this monitor out and make sure that, you know, the review that I provide is 100% legit, and that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to you know, the functionality and how I felt about the monitor. So big thanks to them. If you guys have any questions or feedback or anything I failed to mention, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you hated it. And if you guys want to see more tech videos like this in the future, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, guys, this has been JoesTech. I'll see you in the next video.